Welcome to the 2D Web Solution Show, the podcast that provides freelancers who are wanting to make more with WordPress the solutions to create a plan, take action, and experience success. And now, here are Arelthia Phillips and Carron with their next 2D Web Solutions episode.
So thank you all for being here for episode 16, and today's topic is developing solutions. Woohoo!
All right. So this is a follow-up from the last episode we did on how to come up with different problems. Once you have all these problems, the next step is to come up with some solutions for these problems. So what do you do with all the problems?
Yeah, exactly. You know, you end up with clients. Hopefully you've identified some potential clients and you've come up with a list of the problems. Personally, my objective is to solve all of their problems, but you have to start somewhere. So I usually start with one.
Yeah, I agree, Kerry. You know, ultimately we want to do this problem and that problem. We want to do multiple problems, but the ultimate goal is to start with one. We could put the rest of them into our, what I like to call my one-day notebook, problems that I might address one day. I might try to come up with a solution one day. So once you have all that information, you know, all those problems, you've decided, okay, I want to solve one. How do you decide which problem that you want to start with?
Wow, that's a huge question, and a lot of times is sometimes the most difficult thing to do. I think as human beings, we tend to lean toward solving the problems that are the easiest to solve. Something you may already know or something you already have an answer to. And it is a great place to start, but I don't think that it's always the best idea as far as finding the right solution for the right problem.
Yeah, because
so I think there's a number of things to consider. Would you agree?
I totally agree, because ultimately we want to develop a solution that'll solve a problem, not just to help someone else, but to also help our business grow, because it does us no good if we're solving a problem, but we can't benefit from it financially in our business.
Exactly. So how do you find the solutions for the problems if you don't have the answers to them?
The first thing is, Kerry, before I do that, I want to start with I look at all my problems and I say, okay, so I have these problems. Which problem, based on what I've already determined, is like the impact of solving the problem? Which problem will give the greatest impact to the person that's having the problem?
Oh, that's a great way to look at it, because if you do it that way, then of course you're going to be able to benefit from solving the problem, and your client is going to have the greatest benefit because they're going to have the greatest impact made on their lives, made easier by you solving that problem.
Yeah, and you want that benefit for your potential client to be great, because the better the benefit is for them, in all honesty, it's easier for you to convince them to pay you for it.
There you go. Right.
So if they see, oh, I'm going to get this great benefit, my life is going to be improved after this, then they're more than willing to pay you for whatever number you put in front of them.
Right. That's a very good point.
And so when you're brainstorming, there are a couple of different ways to look at this to come up with a solution. So you've chosen your problem. Then you want to look at, okay, so if money was not a problem, if the solution could cost anything, all right, unlimited budget, what would the solution be? Okay, so you write out a solution based on, okay, there are no limitations on this. It's whatever I think of.
Right.
And so you come up with that solution. And then you take a look at that and you say, okay, so now you want to brainstorm, okay, what about a more realistic solution? Something that I feel like I can do.
So basically you're going through a brainstorming process. And I know when I do my brainstorming, I meet up with friends that I have online. A lot of time, great minds, you know, I call it my mastermind, meeting of the minds group.
Yes.
And I discuss it with them, and we just slam a whole number of solutions onto a piece of paper under a particular problem, and nothing's out of the question.
That's right.
It's a brainstorming session, and you can ask, different groups that you connect with, your team, your spouse, even your clients. You can even have a client meeting with them and brainstorm with your clients and just write down anything and everything that comes to mind that could potentially solve the problem. You're not making any final decisions yet. You're gathering your list and just putting it all in a big one area, so it's all in one place.
And I think another great way to help brainstorm this developing solution process is to actually look at what's already out there, what could potentially already solve this problem. And you want to look at it from different points of view. You want to look at what's the strengths of it, what's already out there, and what are the weaknesses of what's already out there, because that'll help you come up with some ideas of solutions that you can develop to solve this problem.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So it's just about keeping your mind open to all possible solutions, not saying, oh, somebody's already done that, I don't want to do that. No, it's about, okay, looking at how you can improve that solution in some way.
Right. So now that you have your list of solutions, what's your next step to really determining which solution is right for the problem? We touched on it a little bit back on question number 2 when we talked about, knowing which one to address first. But how do you really know which solution is the right solution for the problem?
For me, the first thing that I want to look at, I want to go through all the solutions that I came up with and determine, okay, is this a real solution to the problem, or is this a Band-Aid to the problem?
Yeah, great point. Because a lot of times the answer isn't, you may not have time to fix it or whatnot.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we also get into this, it's kind of like the old adage, if all you have is a hammer, the hammer is the solution to every problem. But the hammer may not be the solution to your problem with a screw or to your problem with a piece of paper. But so you want to really look at it closely. Am I only looking at this solution because this is all I know how to do? Because you don't want to just focus on those solutions. You want to focus on all possible solutions so that you can choose the best solution that actually solves that problem.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it does fall back on ultimately which solution is going to have that greatest impact upon your client, and go with that. So that brings me to pretty much the conclusion of this show. But what's our action plan going to be for this one?
Our action plan for this is we really want to focus on matching. We want to match a single solution to one problem. So you have one problem, you want to have one solution when you finish this. Okay. So yes, we're going to go through the process of, okay, we got all these problems. We've talked to people. We've thought about our own personal problems. And now we have all these problems. Okay.
That makes me think of something. When you come up with your solutions for your problems, I normally find they fall into some basic categories. They're either going to be a service or a product, at least in our industry. Working with WordPress and finding, ways to do more with WordPress, the solutions are typically going to end up being a service or a problem. And I know in the last episode, we kind of started charting our problems and some of our potential solutions. Our problems and our impacts. And this time, I think it would be great to follow up and have that sheet where we offer a problem with our list of solutions, and then further that and put our solutions connected, matched, like you said, with the problem, and then also mark if they are either a service or a product.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Kerry, because when you start thinking about that, whether it's a service or product, you start to look at your business from a different point of view. So you start to not just see, oh, well, I'm a service business because I'm working with WordPress. Not necessarily so, because you may have a solution that could be a product, and it does not have to be a theme or a plugin. A product could also be an info product related to what you're already doing for your customers. So you want to look at all possible solutions, but you categorize them so that it makes it easier for you to decide which solutions you want to tackle. And one of the things, Kerry, that I wanted to do, and I had not planned on doing this, let me find my little notebook. I want to talk about some possible, like, I know we give all these charts and stuff, and we talk to people about, well, what are we talking about? We're talking about problems. What would be some ideas where someone may say they have a problem? Let's say, for example, and I'm looking at my little book here, my little purple book. Yes, it's purple. And so, like, a problem could be my clients text me for an appointment, and it can be hard to keep track of with all the different text messages. Okay, so that's a problem. And so you go through that whole series and you come up with a list of possible solutions. So, Kerry, just with that problem, what would be a possible solution you could come up with?
For what? Say the problem once again.
My client texts me for an appointment, and it can be hard to keep track of all the messages at times.
Well, yeah, there's a number of solutions. I would think of, upon immediately receiving any text messages, to have maybe move that to the note area in your phone if you're getting it on a text message.
Mm-hmm.
Either that, or another one might be to have a particular time of day scheduled at the end of your day to go through all of your text messages and transfer them to a place that you could keep track of them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else. You could maybe I don't know if you can even forward text messages, but maybe forward a text message to a single area so that it automatically gets collected. I don't know. I'm kind of in brainstorming mode, so I'm just coming up with anything else.
And that's the way it needs to work when you're brainstorming through these solutions. They just keep going. You just keep letting them keep going. And part of the thing about being in a mastermind is that when this happens, your thoughts will trigger someone else to have ideas. For example, I'm thinking when you're saying when a text message comes in, is forwarded somewhere else, where, well, what if as soon as the text message comes in, it automatically goes to a list of all the appointments.
Right.
Paul is saying to-do list lets you save it to the list. Then what if I have another example? Okay, what if instead of having your customers text you for an appointment, what if there was a spot on your website they could go to sign up for an appointment? It's automatically there.
Your contact form to different areas if you wanted to. In fact, that's exactly what I ended up doing with my business. I originally started with just a basic contact form, and then I realized that my contact form was bringing in too many different types of things, and I needed to specify the difference between when a customer was emailing me with a task and when they were emailing me with a question, or if they were emailing me with a problem. So I adapted my form, and I created it so that it would separate them out and forward it to different places so that I would know if it was a question or if it was a task they needed me to do or if it was a problem they were having. And there's different priorities I have for those different levels of things too. So if it's a problem, then it may have a higher priority than a question. But depending on what the question is, of course, you have to also look at that. But yes, and then you can also, it went from my contact form to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, now I'm getting all of these things here, but I really need them over. I need the tasks over here to keep me on track and ensure that I focus and get the tasks that I need to done every day. So I needed a support ticket system. So then I developed my support ticket system, and it just gradually grew and meets those needs, solves that problem. Now, granted, I didn't take action on any of these things until it was a pain. So that brings us back to the last episode where we identified the differences between having that pain and if it was just an annoyance.
Okay. All right, great. So we went from we looked at the pain, we came up with the list of solutions. And Kerry, I'm going to categorize that solution you just gave us as a product. So that would be there's a product that's needed for that. Okay. So and if you don't mind, let's work through one more just for example purposes.
Okay.
How about oh, here's a good one. I spent a lot of wait a minute, no, that's not a good one. Sorry.
I spend a lot too.
Okay, here's one. Okay. Adding new content to my website and sharing to all the social sites take up too much of my time.
Ooh, there is already a product out there for that.
Okay. So in that situation, just like boom, Kerry automatically thought of one for that. But we still want to work through a bunch of different possible solutions. And then, we move on from there until we determine which one solution would be best for that problem.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So after all is said and done, and wrapping this up, so we're going to give you some tools to use, and hopefully you'll be able to find them with the ones from one of our past episodes. And we're going to match our problems to a single solution and determine if our solution is a product or service. Once y'all do that, we'd really love to have you come back and let us know for you which was more difficult, brainstorming the solutions or choosing which of the solutions that you came up with was the best solution for the problem.
Okay. All right. So guys, we know that your comments can help us, but they may also help someone else in the process. And so we want to thank you for being here. And thank you for also.
Oh, go ahead.
And also we want to thank you for actually visiting our website and leaving us your ideas and thoughts on the things that we discuss.
Absolutely. Now we want you to go on out and create your plan, take action, and experience your success.
Kerry and Arelthia invite you to start your plan by taking this action. Submit your questions by visiting their website and subscribe to their 2D podcast at 2dwebsolutions.com.